Welcome back to the South End Zone. I am Chad, and you see Tyler right there. I want to take this opportunity, Texas A&M fans, Texas fans, Miami fans, all of y'all, Alabama fans who've been going at me and Tyler in the comments. This is your opportunity. Like, share, and subscribe. LSU is a dumpster fire, so get them in now while you can. This is the time. Like, share, and subscribe. Don't please subscribe and keep commenting. We deserve it. Miami, you're still a fraud. Um, just because we suck doesn't mean you are not overrated because you haven't played anybody. If you had played our schedule, you'd have 4 losses too. So, but keep it coming. And Texas 8-4, you're still Texas 8-4 until proven otherwise. Alabama, you still suck. You're just like the rest of us. That's why you have 2 losses and you're playing for your lives. So it is what it is. But I just wanted to say that, get that off my chest right out of the gate, because now it's time for me to go into mourning
Woosah,
of a season,
woosah.
a season that once was. Tyler, 3.5 weeks ago, um, LSU was up 10 points in the third quarter at Texas A&M in College Station, a mere, I don't know, 25 minutes away from claiming the throne as the best team in the SEC. And now we're looking up at Missouri. And we're going into this game with Vanderbilt with equal 6-4 records. So I have one thing to say about that. Vanderbilt, Alabama, you lost to. I can say this one more week because if we lose to Vanderbilt, I can't say this anymore. But if we can at least beat Vanderbilt, we'll be okay. But Tyler, Saturday night in Death Valley was ugly because it wasn't the Death Valley fans that got to rejoice. It was the Swamp fans that got to rejoice because Death Valley was quiet. We were playing this game in Gainesville, Florida, and got our asses handed to us after playing these guys pretty much even. The Garrett Dellinger absence is becoming more and more glaringly apparent. All due respect to Paul Mabenga, no disrespect to the kid, but it's just showing how big of a deal Garrett Dellinger was in that offensive line that had kept Garrett Nussmeier clean pretty much all year. The Garrett to Garrett connection has been missing for 2.5 games. Yeah, exactly. That's right, Canoli. 10 quarters of atrocious offensive line play that has and it all came to a point Saturday night where LSU gave up 7 sacks in one game in the swamp to Florida after having given up 6 sacks
Mm.
in 9 games prior. So it is what it is. We're moving on. LSU is out of the SEC championship hunt, out of the playoff hunt. We're just trying to stay bowl eligible. I don't know if they'll take it away from us if we lose 2 more games, but it's ugly, Tyler, and I'm ready to
Ugh.
move on to this beautiful game that you guys played between the hedges in Athens. The Bulldogs got it done against number 7 Tennessee. I didn't even put Tennessee's score because it was just not worth it. So just, y'all scored 31. Tennessee, we won't even mention it. What did they get?
Okay, I
17?
was 17. It was
Yeah.
31-17.
All right, I'll put it on there
And
now. All right.
no worries. I just want to point
I'm
out
like
that
3 weeks in a row with typos, so forgive me, everybody.
it was
But it's the trauma from getting our heads kicked in for 10 straight quarters. So that's what
it
happens.
was as I said, it was 17-17 at halftime, and then became 31-17 at zeros.
Yeah.
Listen, what I'll
That's the way to do
say
it.
is it's not, you talk about it being beautiful. It was not beautiful to start the game, and for most of the first half, if we're being 100% honest. Nico, Dylan Sampson, and the rest of that team, Squirrel White or whatever the hell that guy's name is, they were making it look like it was going to be a game. There was a parts where Dylan Sampson was literally, we had him trapped in the backfield, literally like 4 guys around him, and he said, "Just kidding," and then still got like 4 yards. Like we were all just like looking at the back of his head. It got scary. You talk about you know the Mike Bobo. We might as well take a deep shot on the first play of the game, and it was a great idea, and
Shout
then
out to Arian Smith, though.
shout out to Arian Smith for getting our 28th drop of the season by our receiving core. 28, you're talking 27 drops changes the tide of so many of our games. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
27 drops. Like, you're talking about the Alabama game, the Ole Miss game, all of our games realistically. And Tennessee goes up 10-0, and it's looking Not great. They skunked us in the entire first quarter. We put up a fat 0 points. We're forced to punt a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
and then we finally decide in the second quarter we want to play some offense. Shout out, we had not one but two Oscar Delp sightings. We were
Gotta
talking
love it.
last season about the possibility. Obviously nobody's Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just actually saw today, like, what is Carson Beck missing? I don't know. The best rookie tight end possibly in NFL history, and the third best rookie receiver stat wise in the season in the NFL right now. That does make a difference.
Canoli agrees.
Kunole agrees. Go
That's right.
dogs. He says, or she.
There you go. That's right.
uh,
Something like that.
um,
Yeah,
and
he's right there.
then it didn't look. We didn't look great in the first half, but it was like manageable. And then we show up in that second quarter. Carson Beck looked competent all game
Mm-hmm.
long, and we bring it back. We get down the field. We make some catches. The whole tight end room actually showed up this entire game. Lawson Lucky, Urasek, and Oscar Delp, all three with catches, and Delp with 2 tuds. Urasek with some yards, and Urasek had not really been productive this entire season. He's a transfer from Stanford. We're like, why is this nerd even here? Like, there we go, getting some some positive impact on the squad. We were
Right.
without half of our running back room that entire game, and so Nate
Right.
Frazier really having to shoulder the load, and even Carson Beck really making plays with his feet. There was a
Yeah.
couple big first downs that he got for us, and ultimately a touchdown on his own.
Little
And
Dollar General Josh Allen going on there.
yeah, right. Or this is the 50-cent store. This is 99-cent store, John.
Oh,
I
so we're
used
not
to
even
call
gonna
him.
go Dollar General. Yeah, Dollar General got expensive. It's like $1.25 for a lot of stuff
I
there
used to
now.
call him Joe Burrow from Wish, because that's like the closest thing he looks to is just like Joe Burrow. If they put him, if AI is trying to make what Joe Burrow looks like, that's what Carson Beck looks like.
He's like the Macaulay Culkin. He's got
Yeah,
these
right.
like baby face red
Listen,
lips
he's
and everything.
Timmy from South Park. Sid
Timmy,
the Sloth. It's all
it's,
true. It's all
yes.
true. But listen, he can throw the ball out. He can throw the ball. We
Mm-hmm.
put together what I believe is our most, other than the Texas game, our most complete game offensively. Like
Mm-hmm.
and running. I feel like we leaned heavily on the run against Texas, but I feel like this was like we really got the ball to all of our guys, all of
I
our
was gonna say
playmakers.
a lot of good distribution, very much
Yeah,
so.
which is
Yeah.
when we were playing well, it's not one receiver's going stupid. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we have multiple guys with catches. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with 50 yards plus receiving. So like that alone, 2 of which are tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
London Humphreys, Dominic Lovett, Oscar Delt, Urasek,
Yeah.
and Arian
The other
Smith.
thing,
Shockingly
that
enough,
was good to see return was the second half adjustments
right,
that
Kirby's
kind of
second half
disappeared in
adjustment
the Ole Miss
smart.
game, but it
Right.
came back and you guys shut them down in the
And
second half.
we were in the perfect spot being tied going into halftime, because that's all we need.
Mm-hmm.
We could have even been down like a touchdown, maybe 3 points. Still would have been okay. But Kirby's second half adjustment smart strikes again,
Yeah.
and the boys show up. The defense was eating Nico's lunch. I do
Mm-hmm.
think that Nico will be good. I think they want him to be
Yeah.
good too soon. I mean,
Yeah.
and who knows? Younger guys show up all the time in big ways. It's just, I think that he will be good eventually. Like I feel confident in saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But we got it. We got, Smile Mondin was alive. A lot of guys who've been waiting to be who we thought they could be and we knew they could
Mm-hmm.
be, did what they did. We had 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss between all of the defensive guys. And I just felt overall really good, especially looking at possibly being on the outside looking in at the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a game we had to win. We have UMass and Georgia Tech to finish out. So the hard work for now is done, right? We, looking forward, we just got to take care of business and just do what we got to
Right.
do, and then hopefully let the rest work out. We're not
So
going to most likely end up in the. It most likely will not end up in the SEC championship game. It's looking the way. I know that you and I can probably talk about this later if you want to.
yeah. No,
The
I'm gonna bring it up now because I
the
want to show you like
tiebreakers are now
what
the
it
way
looks
it
like.
looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's most
So the
likely
way that it looks
Alabama.
right now, everything goes chalk.
It's Alabama gets Texas, Texas
and
A&M
it's
winner.
Alabama against Texas. Okay, but I want to propose something. So this is Auburn's playing at home. Hugh Freeze has yet to get that pelt on the wall for this season. So I don't know if it's going to be Alabama or Texas A&M, but in Jordan Hare, I think Texas A&M is vulnerable in this game coming up. I think it's like a 2.5 point spread. We're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that one later on in the week when we do our preview show. But then the other one is, so like let's say A&M loses to Auburn this weekend, but then
Mm-hmm.
they play in Kyle Field
Yep.
against Texas,
Yep.
and they knock off Texas. Boom, Alabama,
Oh, I
Georgia
know. I know.
in the
I
SEC
texted. I
championship game.
texted you. I texted you the outcomes.
It's,
Like,
it's
so
very possible.
it's most likely if Alabama wins out, they will get the
Right,
winner of Texas, Texas A&M. If
hmm
Alabama falls flat, then we get the winner of Texas, Texas A&M. If
right,
Texas and Texas A&M both completely fall apart, then it's us and Alabama.
right,
So, like,
right.
the most likely outcome is Alabama gets them, which I kind of want to.
Yeah,
And we'll talk about this also. Like, Lane Kiffin was like quoted as saying a lot of the coaches in the SEC are kind of not really wanting their team to be like
in the game.
in the
Yeah,
game.
it's
And
just an opportunity to lose another
it's
game
the
to a really
risk
high
versus
quality opponent.
reward. The risk versus
Right.
reward, especially with how all of the
Yeah.
losses have stacked up for all the teams
hmm
across the conference. Like, it's not like where we, Stetson and that team, we went into Atlanta, lost Alabama, and then avenged the loss because that was
Right.
their only loss. Like, all SEC teams except for Texas have two, and no, A&M has more than one loss. Right? Yeah, they have two because they lost to Notre Dame.
They
Yeah,
lost to
so
Notre Dame out of
all
conference. Yeah.
SEC teams
Right. So
outside
if
of
A&M
Texas have
does
more
lose
than one
another
loss.
game, they're probably out altogether.
Yes,
They're out of the playoff
yes,
altogether.
for sure. And I think
So
I don't know. Like, I
A&M
agree. Like,
basically can't make it to the playoff without winning the SEC.
we might fall ass backwards
hmm
into the SEC championship,
hmm
and then if
So
that
do
creates
you
our
want
third
to?
loss.
That's the
No, I
question.
don't.
You don't want to? Yeah, I wouldn't
At
think
this
so.
point,
But
because they're going
I'm
to
just
hold it
curious.
against us, regardless of who we play in that game and how the game looks. There's
Right.
not enough to say this 3-loss team should be better. Should be in over one loss. I mean,
hmm
you could one loss Miami. Indiana's
Well,
undefeated. Can't keep them out.
yeah. So
Texas, you know what I
I'll
mean?
say this that to the extent that the argument could be made, your two big wins are against Tennessee, who lost to
Top 10
Arkansas,
team.
and to Texas, who everybody is downplaying now that they haven't played anybody.
Yeah.
And so it's like that I could see them making the argument that keeping you
We
guys out
we
if you
played three
don't.
top 10 teams on the road, or three.
Right. It doesn't matter if you lost
Yeah,
to two of them.
yeah.
If you lost to two of them and then you go lose another one in the SEC championship, they're just going to look at it like, well, yeah, the only two teams you actually beat in that tough schedule were Tennessee and Texas. And
Yeah.
if A&M beats Texas and Texas doesn't go to the championship,
Then they really look
and
bad.
then you lose to A&M or something like that, or you lose to Alabama again if you got there, and you know what I'm saying? Like then, yeah, I'm just saying, like it's one of
I
those
know.
like I could see the argument being made, so I'm kind of with you that I think to your point, the most important part about all this, yes, you want as an athlete, you want to play the best, you want to beat the best, and all that, but when it comes to something like this, the playoff is still there, regardless of whether you go to that game or not,
Right. The
and
SEC
the
championship
risk
might be a
of losing a
roadblock
game and getting knocked out far exceeds the reward of moving up a spot or two in the seeding because
and
you
getting
win
a
the
bye.
SEC and getting a bye.
Right
Right.
now, it looks to be like the way people are talking, the money, like the best spot to be in the playoff is 5 through 8.
5 through 8. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you get
Yeah.
that home playoff game
You get
to
money
start.
for it.
You
Yeah.
get money for it. You don't get rusty having a
Mm.
if you're one of those top 4 teams and whatever matchup you draw the winner of, like that team,
hmm
especially if that team like wins in some fashion, they come in piss and vinegar
Right.
into your matchup in a neutral site, like they might just wind up and beat you anyway. You know what I mean? It's a
Right.
whole lot
Right.
of what ifs and who knows, but at the
hmm
same time, like right now, if we avoid Atlanta, if we've like I think the chalk will be chalking, and it's going to be
Yeah.
Alabama gets Texas, Texas A&M winner.
I tend
Like,
to agree.
because what Texas has Kentucky, and then they play Texas A&M.
Right.
Texas A&M has Auburn, and then they play Texas, and then Alabama, I know, plays Auburn the last game of the
They
season.
have
I don't know
Oklahoma this
and
weekend
they play
in
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
So they have in
So
Norman, which I think that like if Kentucky wants to play some football, they might make it look close against Texas. And I know we'll talk more about the Texas Texas. Oh my God, the
well,
Texas
it's
and Arkansas game. Like they still proved our point, even though they didn't win.
right.
They still did exactly what we thought, which was Taylor Green.
Yep.
Bring it up right now. Taylor
Mm-hmm.
Green and Jaquin Jackson and Arkansas just Arkansas and fumbled the ball at the worst possible time when all the momentum was on their side. Like it was
They had it. They had it.
Right.
They had it.
They
Tyler.
literally had Texas on their heels and tails between their legs. Like they were moving the ball in all the right ways. And Arkansas, when they shouldn't Arkansas, they fumble the ball plain as day. Like they were talking about it. Like when you run when they run these tunnel screens,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have D lineman that can turn around fast enough, that's when that ball gets punched out because don't think that anybody's behind you.
Right.
Like I don't like, and the Hogs had that environment which we knew about, and like we thought that was going to be one of the trappiest of track games. And who knows? Does Texas get Kentucky at home, or do they have to go to Lexington?
Yeah, no, it's in Austin, but A&M is traveling to Auburn, and Alabama is traveling to Norman. And what I was going to say is, we have yet to see, ever since. Remember, we were talking about all the chaos early in the season, and then we were waiting for like this big chaos thing to start happening in November, because this season reminds me a lot of like 2007 when LSU lost. We lost 2 triple overtime games, and we had to have a whole bunch of crazy stuff happen at the end of the season. It was like Kansas had to beat, oh no, Oklahoma had to beat Kansas. Then Kansas, I mean, then no, yes, Oklahoma beat Kansas, and then Missouri beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, and then like USC had to beat Arizona State, and like it was Pitt had to beat West Virginia. That was LaShawn McCoy.
Oh yeah.
And like it was just
I know.
all these things. There's like 6 or 7 different things that had to happen for LSU to still make it to the Natty, and they did, because all those things happened, and LSU got in. I feel like we haven't seen that thing that we saw a few little things. BYU losing. We're going to talk about that later on in the week. There's some little hints. We almost saw it with Texas and Arkansas, but I'm waiting for, and Oregon, Wisconsin, but I'm waiting for the thing to happen where everybody's just like, what? Because that hasn't happened yet. That November surprise.
Yeah, it has not.
And so I don't know if it's A&M going to Auburn. I don't know if it's Alabama going to Norman, and like somehow Oklahoma finding a way with Brent Venables to like slow down Alabama's offense enough, and with the freshman quarterback Hawkins doing just enough. I don't know. I don't see a path for it to happen. I just don't know why it's a 13.5 point spread, because it should be way bigger than that.
Oh, it
for
should absolutely
Alabama.
be. It should be like maybe close to 3 touchdowns.
Right. So I'm just waiting to see. One other game that happened this weekend, sneaky, like,
what a great game.
Could be the best team in the SEC, and we just don't know it because they couldn't get it done to finish the game against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They had them on the ropes, had them beat, and failed to pull it off. They had us beat at home, failed to pull it off. And then the only real blemish that they have on their record, it looks like they're as bad as people thought they were, was that 27-3 loss to Ole Miss. And now we look at Ole Miss and it's like, yeah, that's a pretty damn good team that you lost to, and that was without Lenore Sellers at 100%. There's a whole bunch of things that go into that. So South Carolina, they had to really, really gut it out and pull it out at the end against Missouri. A great play, like a great play call, and then Rocket Sanders just like willed himself into the end zone to get the punch to take the game over. But that one was like really back and forth in the fourth quarter.
You want to talk about like the middle of the conference, the middle of the hierarchy of
it's
just
so
delivering. This game was crazy. It was a great game. Like, first of all, Nick Harbor, is that the guy's name? That receiver. How do you guard that?
I
How
don't
do you guard
know.
that? He's
It's
like tall. He
smart.
looks so much taller than the DB, and he's faster than them.
That's
And
why I'm excited
Lenoir is
about
just like
Trey'Dez
this.
Green. He's a true freshman for LSU, but he's like that same kind of build where he's like 6'6", 240, and just like good luck. Once he figures out, once they're able to open up enough of the playbook to him to where
Yeah,
he can become a focal point of the offense.
yeah,
It's crazy. But yeah, but so the other thing is though, um, Kennard and Stewart did their thing like they always do. It wasn't. Shout out
dogs,
to Brady Cook and that offensive line for doing as well as they did, and Luther Burden made some great plays. But
dude. You see that
the way
one-handed
that
catch?
Yes, the way that South Carolina's defensive line came up big right when they needed to at the end of the game was
Mm-hmm.
huge, and Kennard ends up getting the key sack to kind of close it out. But that was a great game. So like the SEC continues to deliver. We are going to preview, or I mean, we're going to recap more of the non-SEC stuff in a little bit, a little bit later on in the week. But for now, that is it for the SEC version of the South End Zone. And Tyler and I will be back for a couple of more episodes. We're going to do a recap of the non-SEC slate, and then we're going to do a little preview of the entire slate of games coming up for Week 13 because it's about to get crazy, folks, and we are here for it. So for now, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe, and leave your comments. We love to hear all the hate. We feed off of hate. I'm like Bishop from the X-Men. I take the energy in and I'm just right back at you. So bring it. Let's go. We love it. Like, share, and subscribe. For Tyler, I'm Chad. This is the South End Zone. We will see y'all next time. Peace.